started. Before we start though, who are the builders in the room? Any builders? Hello. Hello. And sir, what do you do?
Build as well.
Okay, great. Well, you're in the right class.
Thank you.
We want to get you to the mindset of your buyers.
Yeah.
So you can cater to them. So, welcome. Understanding the mindset of the new home buyer. I am Margaret Harrison with Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm. I've been a realtor for about 15 and a half years, so I love what I do. And we also have Mr. Michael G. Davis.
How's everybody? Definitely want to welcome you all to our presentation today. Michael G. Davis, I'm the CEO and founder of Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm. I've been a licensed realtor for about 16 years, been a broker for about 14 of those years. We've grown our company from just me and my business partner to upwards of 100 people part of our organization right now. So very excited about that. I was very excited when we got the phone call from the Houston Build Expo to be able to do a little bit of research as it relates to the mindset and what buyers are wanting out here in the market. In my years of being in real estate, that is something that has always kind of shifted as the market has changed. Now, we wanted to see if there were any patterns or any trends that we could identify. So in Margaret doing some great research, we got some wonderful information for everybody today as far as what we came up with. So.
Yes, and while we're presenting, feel free if you have any questions to stop us. We'll go ahead and answer those questions. Since it's not a large room, we can accommodate questions.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So the research part was the best part for me. I got to do people on the street interviews. So I actually went out to different communities and stopped the new buyers going into the communities, into the in the model homes, and asking them, hey, why did you pick this place? And I asked them a series of questions. So I went to 4 different price points, 250s to 350s, 350s to 450s, 450s to the 550s, and then the 550s and up. So each section, each price point have their different quirks. They had their different answers to certain questions. Different price points were concerned about different things, but there were patterns amongst them all.
Now, before you change that slide, do you all build, which price points do you all build in? Do y'all build in those price points that she went and interviewed in those ranges?
Actually, I'm looking at Broadway, so what's that?
Okay.
Can go up.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's a big, and you and I both know, Bobby, it's a humongous lack as it relates to that price point in the market. So we definitely need a lot of units. What about you, Ian?
I'm in the same boat.
Okay. Oh, looking to build affordable under
Yeah.
250,000?
Doing mostly renovations.
Yeah, awesome, man. Yeah, because it's a definite need for that in the market. We know that. All right, perfect. And the reason that we weren't able to look at the price point 250 or below because it really isn't any builders out there building.
Yeah,
So,
not too many.
Yeah.
There are some, but they're scarce.
Yeah, very, absolutely. So,
Okay, so understanding the mindset. We have a video of one of the person on the street interviews that I did at one of these communities.
Hello, Margaret here. I'm out at a new construction community here to pick the brains of some buyers to see exactly why it is that they chose this time to build, what gives them some apprehension, and what else they're looking for in a new construction home. Let's see what they say. So hello everyone, we have some buyers here and we have some questions for them.
Okay.
So, what made you decide to come here?
Well, we currently live in Houston. We live in the city. We're in the Montrose area. And as you can tell, we got a 10-month-old baby right here. So,
She's crashing.
oh, serious.
Serious.
And so we're just looking to get probably a different community, just a better environment for right here. Maybe bringing another one along here pretty soon. So, yeah, just trying to escape the city life and get to a more quiet area with room to kind of stretch the legs.
Okay. So, what made you decide now is the time to go?
Carrying my reason right here. If it wasn't for her, I'd be sticking in Houston.
Okay, gotcha. Is there a particular type of home you're looking for? 2-story?
One story, exclusively one story.
Is there a design that you
side, just maybe we gravitate to it. Not really interested in the huge grand bathrooms or the huge closets. I'd rather have that square footage allocated to where the family's hanging out, where we're cooking meals, where we're getting together, hanging with friends. You know, that's more important for us.
Gotcha. Okay, well, here's another good question.
Okay.
What would give you some anxiety about what are you most anxious about the process?
Well, I guess if you were getting into you know, if you're on the early side of the community and not knowing what direction it was going to take, maybe, you know, you get to an area and there's a lot of open fields nearby and it ends up, you know, going to some sort of apartment complex, you know, you start bringing people that you didn't know, you know what I mean? Just like not really sure about the area yet. So if we weren't very confident in the area, that would bring me a lot of excitement.
So just getting in too early
Right.
development.
Right.
Okay. Sam, what are the other questions we have?
The last one, what would stop you from buying?
That's a good one.
That school district, South
Yeah.
Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah.
High tax rate,
Okay.
Would you say, like, even the service that you give with sales counselors, would that impact buying?
I think they're not pretty much. Whoever we talk to, we're pretty very pointed at what we want.
Yeah, so you're gonna take control
They're
of
just
what
kind of,
you
I have to
Yeah.
get through them to see what the.
Yeah, okay, so that wouldn't even deter you.
Even if they're a jerk, I'm really just kind of putting them in the house. Even if they don't, I don't, even if they're really nice, it's not like we're gonna really talk to them.
It doesn't matter, yeah, just give us the house, yeah, got it.
I would just be decent, you know?
Yeah, be good, yeah, don't be,
Yeah.
Well, you got some good at it. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So what price point was that?
That price point was $350s to $450s. So that particular family had a little one with them, so that was their main reason for starting that process.
And before you continue, Margaret, the reason that we want you all to register for the class is because we're going to be able to send you a link to where you'll be able to see that interview so you can hear it and kind of look through it again. And we're also videotaping the presentation and we'll have the slides so you'll be able to get all of that. So that's why we really want you to register for the class so we can get that information to you.
Right. So we had 5 big questions that we asked. How did you determine where you wanted to buy? How did you determine what kind of house you wanted to buy? How did you determine when you wanted to buy? What would stop you from buying? And what about the process gives you anxiety? What makes you most anxious? What are you most nervous about the process?
And we want to keep the survey short, right?
Yes.
People don't like filling out a whole bunch of questions, answering a whole bunch of stuff. So we felt like what would be the most impactful 3 to 5 questions that we could ask to really gather some good information that people could use.
Right. So this first question, how did you determine where you wanted to buy? So everyone knows location, location, location. So as we were speaking with the people on the street outside of the model homes, location popped up. And you would think so, location. But location, location, location is not just a cliche. So of course, practically all of the neighborhoods near major highways, shopping centers, business centers, that usually draws the most people. They want to live near those areas. But there is some nuance in location. So as we just heard from the first couple, location in terms of school districts, location in terms of sometimes family and friends, and location in terms of getting from all around the hustle and bustle of Houston. He wanted to move out towards Pearland, something more suburban, because he had that little one and didn't want to be in such a confined urban area. Also, location popped up when it came to family and friends. People like to live near their family and friends. So what does that mean to you guys as the builders?
Oh, well, here's another one too that you didn't bring up. Their jobs, right? A lot of people mentioned about one, they were relocating, they were moving because they were tired of commute, they were tired of the traffic, they wanted to get closer. So that was another one that came up as well.
Right, it was. So how can you guys, the builders, leverage that information? So, family and friends. And this is what a good real estate company would do for you. Us as realtors, we put our heads together to market to those potential buyers. And in partnerships with builders, we can work together to market to your buyers. So, family and friends, we put our heads together and we came up with marketing to the people to the people's families who just purchased in your area,
Right.
or who just purchased one of your products.
Absolutely. So the idea behind it is that if you just sold a house, right? Well, now they're super excited about it, right? They're going to tell all their friends. They probably have a housewarming. They're going to do all of that. Well, 9 times out of 10, there's an opportunity where one of those people, one of those family members, one of those friends want to live close to that member that just bought it. So if you somehow can get access to the circle of that new customer that you just solidified and begin to market to their circle of people, then it puts you in a strong opportunity to sell another unit to somebody that wants to live near their family member or their friend.
Yeah, so you could actually put in a tracking process for that. Either have a department of your own, or like I say, work with a real estate company.
And when she says tracking department, like, you know, we're all familiar with CRMs or customer relationship management systems, to where if you're able to acquire that information for that new customer, that new buyer, and that you continue to engage that buyer, and then begin to capture the information of their sphere of influence, then you're able to track how effective you are in maybe selling those units to people that are close to the customer.
Yeah, so you want to turn that one customer into 3 or 4.
Absolutely. Sell more units.
Yes. And one that I particularly liked was employee promotional offers. So this will hook the people that want to be near their jobs. So you as builders can go out to neighboring builders or neighboring businesses in the area and say, hey, we have a promotion going. So all of your employees get perhaps a free refrigerator. Perhaps they'll get some percentage off, or maybe get some builder incentives if they buy and if they are an employee of that particular business. So that helps attract those people who want to be near their place of work.
Absolutely. And, you know, what it does for the employee, why they would do it, right? Quality of life is very important as an employer. So if they're able to offer some level of incentive, some level of enhancement to the quality of life of their employee, then they may look into partnering with a new home builder to where, because this employee is affiliated with my company, they're able to get this benefit. And it makes the employee, it sheds a greater light on the employee than the employer on the eyes of the employee. So I thought that would be a great opportunity for builders to build those kind of relationships with, since we understand that there are buyers wanting to purchase and wanting to be by where they work.
Right. Our next question.
And for those that kind of came in a little late, if you have questions, you can ask the questions. We are kind of intimate, but we are going to have a session in the end of the presentation for you to pose questions as well.
Yes, yes. So our question number 2 on our survey. How did you determine what kind of house you wanted to buy? So in this picture you can see these bees have outgrown their house. They need something a little bigger. So family needs was one of the patterns that I saw when asking the questions. What kind of house, what made you decide on this kind of house? So it was family needs, lifestyle. A little one was coming, they needed more room. Some people were actually downsizing. Some people didn't want a lot of upkeep for a home. And then lifestyle. Some wanted to be near a golf course. Some wanted to be near local pools. Some wanted to be near track stadiums. They had kids running track. They wanted to help them train. So lifestyle and family needs played the biggest role in determining what kind of house they wanted to buy. So for you as builders, you may be able to leverage this information by offering modifications on your floor plans at a cost, of course. And you would think you would want to have a lot of different plans to have for people to choose from. But we found out that only freezes buyers. So limit your options and maybe have some room for modifications in there.
So what she means is that, you know, most spec builders or production builders, they'll give you a couple, like 2 or 3 options to the home buyer. But what we found is that the home buyer, most of the times, they really don't know kind of what they want or what satisfies their family needs. So if there was some kind of opportunity for the builder to offer the adjustment to your plan, like if the buyer comes into your model home and the buyer says, I want this thing specifically, like this is like a true custom build situation, right? Then we found that in the mindset of the buyer, that was something that was very attractive to them. Now, when looking at it from the standpoint of a builder, like how do you pay for that? Like how do you fund being able to make those instantaneously modifications to your floor plan, dealing with permitting and things like that? So that's why we were saying if you could figure out to where it could be a cost to the buyer, there are some buyers out there that will pay for that, to pay for that flexibility to truly create the house that they want that fits their specific needs.
Right. And next we found that if you offer incentives for local memberships around those lifestyle areas like the golf courses, the gyms, if you offer incentives for those members, that will only boost your value to that community and have more people coming to see your products.
Absolutely. So if you know there are people out there buying because they want to be by a golf course, then you build that relationship with that golf course, that membership, and say, hey, look, for all of your members, you know, we'll offer this kind of incentive, the same kind of incentive that we're talking about with the employees. So now that golf member that comes to that community who now would say, you know what, it would be nice if I lived closer to this membership. So then they'll see it as an opportunity to now you possibly sell some more units because you've made that relationship with that membership. So we saw that with golf courses, gyms, you know, just different membership type of business.
Smoke shops,
Yeah, all that.
a lot of different. So that also brings us to co-marketing with the local businesses. You want to get your name out there. So when people go into those local businesses, you want to see your advertising, you're working with those businesses. Hey, there's a great community, you like shopping here? There's a great community here, wonderful homes, we have a partnership with them. You get all the perks of living there and shopping here. So co-marketing with local businesses will definitely help you sell more of your product. Any questions so far? All right. So our next question on that survey we did was, how did you determine when you wanted to buy? So this was a big one. When? We found that it was life changes. Big life changes spurred people into the housing market. Babies, marriages, celebrations, divorces, retirements. All of these things spurred people into the housing market.
New job.
Yes, new jobs.
Unfortunately, death, people passing away.
Yes,
So
yes.
like those major life shifts, major life adjustments is what typically got people into the market.
Yes. And then, of course, interest rates, pricing, that was also a catalyst to get people into the housing market. But you as builders, how can you leverage this knowledge? So life experiences. How can you capitalize on that and sell more of your product? So that was one we had to get creative with. So these life changes, most of them happen around celebrations, or you celebrate most of them. Even the divorces, I'm hearing they're having divorce parties now. So there's celebrations around these. So many communities have centers or event halls. So we thought it would be a great idea if a builder had an event center at the community
Or a clubhouse.
Or a clubhouse. Offer this space for free. The people come to celebrate. They see your product. They see how well you build your buildings and how well you pay attention to detail. While they're celebrating, you can hook them. Okay, you're celebrating getting married. Your family and friends may want to live here with you. They see how lovely the community is. They see all of the things you have, all of the amenities you have in your community. They may want to come on board with you.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for exposure. right?
Yes.
You know, if I'm retiring, somebody's retiring, they see this free event space that they can utilize, so now they create this humongous party, they bring all these people into the community. So now you're getting exposure for your product, for your units, to a mass amount of people, and then guess what? You can kind of, you know, exponentially grow that. So it goes from, you know, weddings, retirement parties, baby showers. So you just have all these events. Since we understand, this is why people typically get into the market when they're having these major life changes.
So you can hook them right when they're starting to think about, hey, I have a baby coming along as well. Or, hey, my mom's retired. Which brings me to, we did have an affiliate who was newly retired, relocated from another part of the city, and she also had a daughter who was coming out of the Army. So the mom purchased in a new neighborhood. She thought, hey, they're building in this neighborhood, it would be lovely to have my daughter close by. So the daughter, if you have that kind of relationship with your mother, so the daughter said, hey, yes. So there were 9 doors down. So that builder made one buyer into 2 by capitalizing off the need for families wanting to live near each other. So that free event space is a good, like, out-of-the-box thing to just think about. It'll draw people into your product, let them see how you work, let them see your product, and get more buyers that way. So this was also a big question. We wanted to know, what will stop you from buying? And the number one issue we found across most of the price points was pricing. Pricing usually stops the buyers from buying. Another was the loan falling through. The next one was the house being below expectations. So how does this help you guys? Well, let's start with pricing. Well, pricing, we can't really do much about pricing. So,
I think from a pricing standpoint, most buyers, they come into the market, in their head, they have in their head, they should pay the price for something, right? They have, oh, it shouldn't cost this much, but they have nothing really to back up their thought process. So from a standpoint of trying to sell something to them, it's really about educating them on what their opportunities are. See, buyers feel like I can come in here and I can pay this price, not understanding that the price that you have in your head, there's nothing in the market at that price, right? So really, from that standpoint, it's about doing a really good job of articulating and understanding that they really, what all their options are in the current market, so they can better understand the option or the value that they're receiving from the unit that you're selling.
and that's when you will have to really lean on your realtor, your real estate professionals, your realtors, your agents, to help educate those buyers. This pricing is good. There's nothing else and I'm sure you guys have experienced, the inventory is very low. So you have to lean on those real estate professionals to educate their buyers on, hey, this new build is probably where you want to go, and this is probably going to be the best price you can get.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even this market that we're in right now is very unprecedented. So it requires all the professionals really coming together to explain to the customer, you know, what's really going on right now. So that's kind of what Margaret's saying.
Yes. Any questions? Okay. Yes.
I have a question. So for a private more builder that's not in a large development, how does that particular builder that's starting up, how do they leverage? How do they, tap into the buyers if they're doing like private spot builds, like land build, right? They're building their portfolio, but they're not the big builders.
Yeah. As it relates to this particular question?
Well, this is like the mindset,
Yeah.
right? The pricing. So what should we be thinking in terms of our pricing, and not sort of not having multiple properties, right?
Right.
But still pricing the property and then being able to articulate what we're putting into that product, our own product, to a buyer.
Absolutely. So I do honestly believe, like, whether you're a large scale production builder or you're just like a custom builder kind of building per lot, that these patterns are understanding this information, that you'll be able to utilize it within your strategy of how you acquire it. So for instance, understanding that pricing is one of the reasons that a buyer will stop purchasing your property. Whether you're a large-scale builder or you're just a single-unit builder, again, educating that buyer, understanding what the totality of the market looks like, so they can really understand the value that you're providing. So you could use that tactic whether you're a single builder or whether you're a large-scale builder. Did that answer your question?
So the loan falling through was another reason that the buyers gave me about why they would stop. So as a builder, there's very little you can do about the buyer's loan falling through. But you can get the information sooner than later. So I suggest just stay plugged into the buyer's lender to get that information. Hey, this loan may fall through, it may not work out. So you can put that property back on the market as soon as possible.
Right. You know, when we were thinking about this right here, we were like, look, everybody, the buyer, the realtor, the lender, they're all incentivized to not tell you that the loan's not about to go through. So that's most of the time the builder is the last person to find out that the thing's gonna bust out. So now you're trying to rush to put it back on the market. So again, it's not really much that the builder can do to control that aspect of it. I know some of them try to build partnerships with the lenders, have in-house lending and things like that. But even that lender, like at the end of the day, that lender wants to get a commission. So they're gonna do whatever they can to try to stall this thing out to avoid from having to start over. So from the standpoint of the builder, you can incentivize everybody to find out quick. Like we just look, if it's not gonna go through, that's okay, but let us know as soon as possible so we can put the unit back on the market so we're not stalling out. Because with you guys, look, time costs money. So the longer that it takes for me to sell this unit, my profit decreases. So that's what our thought process was like. Figure out some mechanism to where they can have some level of some mechanism from a tracking or a monitoring standpoint to where the builder gets the information as soon as possible if the loan's not going to go through.
Good question. In your research, and I've seen this and I'm a realtor, y'all, did any warranties come up in regards to them not being able to get approved, like the builder not having certain warranties or anything like that? Did that come up in research or anything like that? Like if you're doing a private builder, you know, your private builder is going to have all the warranties, right? But your private builders, the 2 to 10 year warranties, have any of that come up to be a reason for not getting the loan approval or a loan falling out?
Because the house doesn't have a warranty on it?
Right. If the builder is building a house and them not having certain warranties for the house, has that come up in any of the research of the reason of not being approved?
Yes, no, it didn't come up when the particular people that I interviewed, it did not. So,
and you're saying as a response for them to not buy, to stop them from buying because it doesn't have a warranty on it?
or for the loans falling out.
Like, so if a lender is requiring a new construction home, right? And they have structural warranties. Right? And if a builder does not have that, have you seen that be a reason for a loan not being approved?
Oh, well, we were interviewing buyers, so we didn't know. Like that's.
I have some information on that.
Okay, go ahead.
So there is a way around that. They have a company that will ensure that they do require some documents like your approved stamped plans, and they will issue that 2-10 warranty to a small individual builder. And it's funny, it's through the state of Texas. So yeah, it's going to shut down because if the lender require that warranty, they require the warranty.
Yeah, so I guess it depends on the lender. If that's a requirement for the lender, then yeah, it's going to shut the loan down. But as far as it being a reason why a buyer would not move forward with the transaction, we didn't see that. A buyer saying, "Oh, we don't want to buy this house because it doesn't have a warranty." In our questions.
And another reason that the buyer said they would just stop buying altogether is if the home didn't meet their expectations. So this one was a little trickier because one person's expectations may not be another person's expectations. You as the builder will feel that, hey, I built you the best product on the market there is. The buyer may feel, I don't think so. So at this junction, what does this mean to you? We have to figure out what their expectations are. So we need to clarify, get down to the bottom of what is it that you're expecting in this new build project.
Yeah, you know, the thing about it, communication is key, especially in this phase of it, because as the builder, and even us as realtors, we feel like we articulate, we ask the client, you know, what is it that you want? What are the needs that you want us to satisfy? They give us their list of needs and wants. So then you present them their needs and their wants, and then they look at it and they say, well, no, this ain't really what it was. And what we found out is that most of the time buyers don't know what they want. So, and they don't really start figuring it out until you start presenting them options. So as it relates to a buyer coming in, signing the contract, the builder or the sales counselor sitting with them and saying, hey, you're gonna get this, 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 and this. Well, once the final product is presented to them, and they're like, well, yeah, I know you told me it was gonna be that, but that ain't really what I want. So it's like, in the beginning, in the front end, even if it has to be redundant, ensuring that the client understands truly this is what they're going to be receiving based off of what they asked for.
So, performance assurance, that piggybacks on the back of that. How can we assure that we're going to perform? Incentives usually work. Guarantees usually work. So come out and say it. We're going to do this and just live by it.
As far as like your time frame, right? We're going to build a house in 6 months. Build it in 6 months, right? Because what we, and I'm talking from a realtor standpoint, you know, we'll hear, yeah, we're going to build it in 6 months. We'll hear it in, yeah, we'll build it in 6 months. 8 months later, it still ain't built, right? And then in many instances, it's, hey, we just didn't build it in 6 months. Like the buyer gets no level of compensation, incentive, or anything. It's just no consideration. It is what it is. So even in some of the misunderstandings that may come on the front end. So all we're saying is that if the builder is committed to building it within a certain time frame, then how do you get your subs? How do you get your construction manager? How do you get everybody, the sales counselor, to ensure that you all hit that timeline to deal with any apprehensions that the buyer may have about it not closing at the right time?
Yeah, so it'll take some more creativity on your parts to incentivize your subs.
Or again, not everything has to be incentives. Like just have some type of monitoring mechanisms in place, have a level of oversight in place to ensure that these time frames are hit. Because one of the things that we did find out with buyers is that, and I think she's going to talk about that on the next question, is that buyers are apprehensive about things not happening at the time that the builder says that things are going to happen.
But so now, in the defense of builders, some things are just completely out of your control.
Yes.
I have no control over not being able to get material. So how do we bridge that gap with the buyer to say, I've done everything possible to meet this timeline, I'm missing a key item. That needs to be communicated in a way that they can say, okay, sure, but now if it's this deadline after deadline after deadline, but it has to be a little bit of flexibility built in there because there are so many things that are not under your control.
Absolutely. And I feel like the biggest solution to that is advocacy, right? The builder needs an advocate. You know, a lot of times builders like to sell directly to the consumer. I get it, right? I mean, you want to save the commission, you want to save whatever marketing dollars that you're going to pay to a realtor, but just like kind of what you mentioned, if there was a middle person there to articulate what the builder is saying, getting that buyer to understand, hey, look, this is a part of the market, somebody that they trust. Keep in mind, if a buyer is using a realtor, it's because they trust that relationship. So now if that realtor, you now turn that realtor into an advocate for you, then yeah, that's how you get that buyer to have that understanding of those unforeseen situations that happen. So to keep that buyer reasonable, because sometimes they become unreasonable. And a lot of times it's because they're emotionally charged. They're emotionally connected to the transaction. So you need somebody that's that buffer, that's not emotional, that they trust, that they can kind of, what do they say, walk them off the ledge. Yes, ma'am.
So I just want to share this. The biggest thing when it comes to consumers is the lack of communication. That's the problem, let's be honest. If you're not transparent, that's where you lose their trust. But if you're transparent about what's happening real time, not 3 days down the road when you knew 3 days ago and now they not understanding why is this hold up? Did it not get approved through permitting? Did you have a delay in shipment of materials? So it's all about communication. We all know, I don't care if it's your spouse, your children, or whomever it is, if you don't communicate effectively, timely, and with transparency, that is where your customers become unreasonable. All they want to know is, where are you at? Can you give me an update so that it soothes their mental and spirituality in that sense that you're like, oh, okay. You at least told me something, and that's all they're really looking for, to be honest. Even the most reasonable clients, it has to do with effective communication.
Yeah. Now, I agree with you 100%. Yes. Communication is extremely key.
Over-communicate.
Over-communicate. But again, even to make that situation easier, right? A builder is here to build, right? So if you had somebody there to say, hey, look, this was happening, go communicate that to the buyer, so I can go over here and focus on getting this taken care of so we can get them bid. Versus you having to work both sides of it, it just makes your job easier.
Can I piggyback off of that? I'm sorry. You just got me fired up. Okay, so I love what he's saying. If a builder is to build, if every time you talk to your client, you know what it does? Take away time when you could be building.
Right.
So having a realtor, I think, is a very, very key, important part of it, because they can do the stuff that you don't have to do. Right. And you can be focused on doing the things you need to do. So if you can eliminate the unnecessary time where you can put somebody in their place to do it, that is so absolute key. So I appreciate you saying that.
Don't worry, your chicken will.
Okay.
Our next question. What about the home process are you most concerned about? So if we could head off these apprehensions that the buyers are having, we can sell more units. So one of the results was time. The buyers feel like when you get a new construction home, it's going to take forever. It's just going to take too much time. Another apprehension they had was all the unpredictable variables. We always know weather is one. COVID popped its ugly head up, so that became another variable we had to deal with. So the buyers were always apprehensive about that.
And before you can, so that time piece is key, right? Because most buyers, there's a particular time frame that they're trying to do things within, right? When we go back to some of the other concepts that we talked about earlier, like wanting to be close to their job. Well, look, they may have to start that job in 6 months, right? Or they may have to start that job in 8 months, and they're relocating from a different state. Well, so now those timelines become critical. Hey, the baby, she about to have that baby, and that baby's about to pop. We got about 4 months we need to be in a house, right? So those time frames become very, very key. So now, if you can think about that apprehension with a new home buyer coming into signing a commitment, signing that contract, really trusting that this thing is going to be built within this time frame. They already have, in their head, they're thinking worst case scenario. If I'm not here in 6 months, I'm going to lose the job. It's going to be the end of the world. That's what they're walking in there with, although we understand, look, it's going to work out. But in their mind, it's humongous. So on the front end, it's about taking that into consideration and presenting that level of empathy on the front end as it relates to that time frame. That time frame in their eyes is critical.
And if you happen to meet all of your time frames and your timelines, say it. Yeah. Let them know I have a track record of meeting my time frame. Say it. That usually puts their mind at ease when you come out and say it, and then again live by it.
And testimony.
Yeah,
and like
testimonies are good.
If you're meeting your time frames, have your customers say something about it. Like this is what my customers say about me hitting my deadline. Right. So what we're saying is overemphasize the time aspect of it, because that was something that was extremely critical to the buyers. It was that time frame and being able to hit those time measurements.
Yes. And then the home not being built to their perceived standards. So that was another reason why they would just say, I'm out. I don't want to buy this home anymore. It's not built to my standards.
Well, it wasn't even really that. What got them really anxious about that scenario playing out is that now I've signed this contract, I've committed to buying this house, I've closed on it, and now I'm not gonna like it. Right?
Right.
So that was the thing that they were really concerned about, was how do I know that once this house is built, after I've made this 30-year commitment, I'm on the hook for this loan, that this is going to be my forever home. This is going to be my dream home. How do I know that now when I'm looking down and signing this paperwork? So it's like if you could, in the front end, like a lot of this stuff is all about in the front end, as you're dealing with the perception of the buyer and them coming in, that they're not telling you this stuff. They're just smiling. They're just saying, yeah, you know what I'm saying, I want to buy the house. But in the back of their mind, they're concerned about time. They're concerned about, hey, is this really going to be the house that I fall in love with, that I think I am, because I fell in love with the model home.
Right. So what does this mean to you as the builder? So again, front end, putting processes in place to tell them, hey, I meet all my timelines. Have a process for your testimonies. Letting them know, hey, I meet my timelines, wonderful home, rebates. We were also thinking out of the box again. Rebates. Customers love rebates. And it gives you something to put your stamp on. Hey, we're going to meet this deadline. If not,
You get your royalty.
yes. If not, you get a refrigerator or brown molding, all rounded corners. They love rebates. So that gives them some assurance that, okay, well, I know no one wants to just give me anything. So I'm sure they're going to make these timelines. I'm sure they're going to build it to this standard. Another one we felt was home inspections and the home being built to their standards. If, like again, buyers, they're not builders. They just go in and say, well, I want all the beams to be leveled. I want to know all the nails are in the right places, and I'm going to inspect the home. But they're not inspectors, they're not builders. So how can they be assured that they're getting a sound product? We came up with having incentives for inspectors.
Offering them a credit, right? So, you know, I know, based on our experiences, we encourage the buyer to get an inspection, even if it's a new home build. Like, get the inspection done. Some of them do it, some of them don't, because they feel like, hey, it's a brand new home, ain't nothing gonna be wrong with it. What we recommend is that since we understand that one of their apprehensions is gonna be that it's not built to standard, and that they may find that out after they've closed on the house, it may cause some negative emotion or some energy, and you don't want that. You want the client to be happy, then all right, we have the builder encourage, get your inspection. Now, not only do we encourage you to get your inspection, we'll offer you a credit before you get the inspection. All right, well, how does the builder take care of that? I'll increase your purchase price by $600, right? But what it does is that going into it, it's like you're saying, I so believe in the fact of my product and what I'm building that I want you to get a third party to take a look at it. And I want you to get this third party to go behind me on the build of this house. And then once you do that, then now if you have any problems, it's not because you didn't do your due diligence or anything. I encourage you to do it, and we'll take care of it. So that's what our thought process was about that, was that encouraging the buyer up front to get a third-party person in, so you don't have to defend your product. You don't have to defend what you put to the marketplace because somebody else is looking at it.
Yes, and
I'm all for inspections, but I think the buyer would pay for it. That's what they do.
Absolutely.
yes, we only suggest the builders, so just
And technically they are paying for it, because what we're saying is you pay for it and you just increase your price by whatever that costs you.
right.
So.
Right, and it puts their mind at ease saying, okay, well, this builder is willing to give me a credit on getting it inspected, to inspect their work. Okay, it puts their mind at ease, and it takes away that apprehension about the house being built to standard in that aspect.
Again, it's about trust. If they can
Yes.
trust if the house is going to be built to standard, well, you can trust it because we're telling you bring in your own third-party person to come look at it.
Right.
That's inspected throughout the construction process or at the end?
I would say
Throughout.
I was saying throughout.
How much does that cost?
It usually runs about $700. My realtors in here, is everybody?
Yes.
Okay.
I had a buyer that did mid-inspections, each step of the building process. They used the same inspector throughout the whole thing, and then once they got to the end, the inspector just did like the operation points, like make sure there's no leaks and electricity, things like that, once the appliances stuff got in. But as far as like the framing and the beams and the roof and all that stuff like that, they did it every step of the way. So it's about $700.
Right. And here's the thing about price. Like we get caught up on price, but really it's value. Right? We pay for things that we feel like the value supersedes what the cost is.
Right.
So what we're saying is, even if you increase your price, we're saying you're increasing your price, you're also getting this level of value right here to where you're in essence, it's perceived that you're offering an inspection of the property at $700 value.
And let me just insert, this is where the warranty came in. I jumped the gun a little bit, but having that warranty, because these homes are being built by men, and I tell my clients this, there's no perfect person out here building the absolute perfect house, right? There's things that happen, we're human, right? But along with the inspection and making sure you get that inspection every step of the way, as a builder, it eases their mind that there's something else in place after the transaction. The warranty comes in place, it eases their mindset to know that they have someone else to call or something else to do once the house starts settling and trying to find its way because it's a new build, right? So that warranty for me or my buyers is another added security of having that.
Any other questions? All right, we're at the question period.
All right, so did everybody register for the class? We're bringing in the pinwheel. We got gifts. We got gifts. It's like, what is it called? Price is Right? Come on. All right, so again, we have a YouTube channel, a playlist, and on that, we're gonna have some of the other interviews that Margaret did. You'll be able to see those interviews. We're also doing, obviously, we're recording the presentation, so you'll be able to get a link to the presentation as well as the slides, so you'll be able to utilize that information. And then, in addition to that, for registering for the class, everybody that registered, you'll be able to spin the pinwheel and get a gift. So, while we're doing that, if anybody has any questions, we can answer those questions for you.
How many builders do we have in the building? Actual builders. Okay, great, great, great. How's the market going for you guys?
Oh, ours is great. We have an awesome program.
Who's Jarrell Sparks? Come on down. All right, so we got Jarrell Sparks, Bobby Mills. She'll come on after Jarrell. And then we have Ian Benedict. There we go. All right, come on, spin
So
the
we
wheel, Jarrell.
spin and you
So now-
pick from the corresponding box.
So now some boxes are better than others. I'm gonna tell you, some boxes are better than others.
From the spin.
That was a dog spin. Two, right.
Wait.
Uh-oh. One. All right, come on, Bobby.
So what does the number mean?
Depends on which box.
Corresponds to the box.
Which box you pull from. Yeah, and some boxes are better than others. There we go, Bobby. With a light touch. Two. There we go. Come on, Ian. All right, and then we have Maria Leon next. There we go. Come on. Sure.
Another strong
Dog
spin.
spin. You trying to outdo Maria? Two. Man, two been getting everything. That might need to be I need to go to the roulette table. I'm betting on two. Come on, Maria. All right, Thomas Woolley is next. Three, there we go. That's the box I've been eyeing. All right, and then Fernando, you next.
I don't see it all
I see
day.
I see what you do. I see what you do. Jonah Johnson. And while you're waiting, if you want, you can hit those QR codes on the screen. I think you gotta kind of stand right here, but you can hit those QR codes and they'll automatically take you to the playlist in our Facebook page.
Two.
Jehovah. And then Carol from Midnight.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. All right, come on down.
Slender. I know that was you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And then we have Ron Blank. All right, and Ron Blanks. Is Ron here? All right. Well, that's everybody, man. We definitely appreciate you all. Hopefully you got some good information and content out of it. We'll be sending you over the links and everything. And Margaret has some business cards up here.
Yes, they're actually in the back, so on your way out, you can pick up a business card.
No, I can run to the car and get you one.
Where you guys have your office?
So our office is about NRG. We're at NRG.
4 minutes up the road
Okay.
at 2600 Southwood West.
Okay.